Oh, good morning. Sorry for that rough start. I'm really very excited to be here today with you and share the plans that we have under the innovation goal. So as we explained yesterday, this ITS strategic plan is organized around three central goals. And today we're going to be elaborating and unpacking the third goal, Innovate. And I'm joined today by my two colleagues, Chris Bradley and Mihaela Popescu, who were involved in creating not only a strategic plan, but also this particular goal of Innovate. And I really want to underscore today what's in it for you, what we're creating for you over the next 3 years in this plan, and what you can expect and look for, and also how you can engage with us in creating and carrying out this plan as we build it over the next 3 years. We define this broad goal space of Innovate in the following way. We innovate by harnessing interdisciplinary ideation, leading edge technologies, equity principles, design logic, data analysis, entrepreneurial spirit, and a tinkering mentality to nurture the joy of learning, discovery, and public service. So when we think about Innovate, it's not about just bringing the newest, latest technology to campus, but it's also a mindset of thinking in an experimental way about being curious and about taking an interdisciplinary and integrative approach. Within this goal space, there are 5 different objectives. So these are areas in which we are planning to focus our attention in our design plan in the next 3 years. So the first one is digital literacy pipeline. And this is about reaching sort of back or out to the high school level and aligning resources with them to improve and increase digital literacy for CSUSB students on campus. The next is users first, really focusing and designing solutions with the user in mind. And immersive learning spaces is about creating new ways for students and capitalizing on virtual reality technology to enhance student learning in multiple different kinds of spaces in different ways, and really integrating some really exciting tools. And the fourth, personalized context-aware communication, is about improving our communication with you and making interfacing with the university simpler and easier on your end, and giving you actionable information in a timely manner. And the fourth, the virtual communication hub, is an entirely new kind of construct and experience that we're designing. We'll talk about that when we come to it. And 6 is about the work that we're doing in the community and how we want to share our resources to elevate digital literacy across the Inland Empire and our larger community. So this first objective, the digital literacy pipeline, the objective is to lead in the creation of a digital literacy pipeline from feeder schools into CSUSB to generate bridge experiences for prospective students. So what we heard in listening to community when we were building out the strategic plan is that there's kind of an unevenness in students' digital literacy and fluency, which is preventing them from fully capitalizing on all the resources that are available here on campus. So one of the things that we plan is to create this digital pipeline, which is reaching out to the community to understand what high schools and community colleges are already using in terms of software and technology platforms, so that we can identify some shared applications and begin to strengthen those, so that there is some continuity for students as they're developing their skills in high school, and that they can carry them on to the campus here when they arrive. We also have plans to have additional training for students and opportunities for them to build their skills and micro-credentials, so that they can have something that reflects the knowledge that they're gaining and the effort that they're putting into their education. So for students and faculty and staff, what this will ultimately create, and what the bottom line is for you, is that this will increase digital literacy for CSU, for incoming students, and across the whole student body over time. And for students, look for these opportunities to create micro-credentials for yourself, but also there will be opportunities to serve as an ambassador and take on leadership positions and roles as working back and sort of reaching back to your former high schools and being a part of this consortium that we're creating. So moving on to the second objective, users first.
All right. Well, Pamela, I think this is where I take over. So Thank you, Pamela. Good to see some familiar names in the audience here. For those who may not know me, my name is Chris Bradney. I am the Director of Strategic Technology Initiatives, and got to help put this all together with Pamela and Mihaela and James and kind of the rest of the ITS leaders group. So this second objective within Innovate, users first. This is really a mindset change for ITS. So the kind of the description of that objective: employ design thinking principles and methods and user responsive processes in all aspects of technology adoption. This is really, if I boil this down, this is really a change in the way that we approach new technologies, change in the approach we take to changes that we're making to the campus infrastructure. And it's really about stepping away from the technology and thinking about what the technology can do, and thinking more about what it means to our customers across campus. This is like I said, it's mindset shift that changes how we think. So design thinking, if you're familiar with that terminology, that's something that ITS as a whole is going to be adopting more and more of. But I think in general, this is really a chance for us to break out of kind of the mindset that we've been in. And I've seen it in several technology adoptions across campus, where the technology and ITS communicates the what we're doing, and never really the why, and never really about what it means for our customers. So we're hoping through this process of reevaluating ourselves, reevaluating the way that we approach this, that we're going to increase the satisfaction that you have with how technology addresses your needs, and because we're going to be thinking about those. We're going to be actually going out and gathering those needs and formulating strategies around our technology based on the needs that we hear across the campus. And then also one of the main goals of this, right, is that if we conform our technology adoption process to the needs of the user, then it's going to be easier at the end of that technology adoption process for that technology to be used. So increased adoption, increased satisfaction, that's really kind of the goal of all of this. We're really excited for what this will mean for our campus. All right, Pamela, if you want to advance it, and then I believe Mihaela is going to take slide or goal number 3 here.
There we go.
Thank you so much, Pamela and Chris. And good morning, everybody. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Dr. Mihaela Popescu. I'm a professor of media studies in the Department of Communication Studies, but I also have the great honor of working with ITS as the faculty director of our immersive media lab, which is a little bit pretentiously called the Extended Reality for Learning Lab. Our third goal is inspired by what we heard during the pandemic from both faculty and students. The goal says the following: we will foster and support faculty and students' co-creation of innovative hybrid learning spaces and experiences to address the post-pandemic instructional needs of faculty and students. So first of all, let me unpack this goal for you a bit and put it in perspective with what we heard from faculty and students in the background. So what happened during the pandemic, which you well remember, is that we switched online all of a sudden, and we didn't have access to a lot of spaces and a lot of environments where really learning was happening together. For example, imagine how a professor of theater must have felt when she or he was not able to direct students in particular configurations on the scene. Or imagine how somebody teaching teacher candidates must have felt when they didn't have access to a classroom and they couldn't think through the arrangement of furniture to figure out what is the best configuration for the students. So that is one aspect that informed our goal formulation. A second one is the fact that after a year of synchronous Zoom teaching, everybody expressed Zoom fatigue. Students were appreciated the convenience of taking a course online, but at the same time expressed to us frustration with the modality that forced them to be on camera for long periods. So there was this need of reimagining teaching to account for something that we called co-presence. So an idea of working together, having this feeling of embodiment, seeing other people around you, but at the same time having the flexibility of doing that from a distance and sometime in your own, according to your own schedule. So we came up with this idea of encouraging the creation of new spaces. The keyword here being co-creation. What we discovered is that many times students had incredible ideas about how the learning of the future could look like, but there was no communication between instructors, students, and IT staff on how we can do that together. So our renewed goal in the strategic plan and ambition is to create, first of all, the situations in which those dialogues can happen. And second is to take advantage of some of the technologies that we already have in the lab and so far have been used only experimentally or have been used to help certain instructors who absolutely need it, what we were talking about, this co-presence and sense of embodiment. And of course, I'm talking about virtual reality, augmented reality, and other types of immersive media. I would like to assure you that when we talk about innovating, we are not talking like, Pamela and Chris have said, we are not talking about innovating at all cost. Technologies such as VR and AR are very expensive. And really the first question that we need to ask is, when do we absolutely need them? And when we can actually achieve the same purpose using technologies that we are already employing right now? So for us, then, this process of, encouraging the dialogue with students, staff, and instructors is going to be about what can these new technologies do for you that nothing else so far was able to accomplish. And imagine, for example, virtual exhibitions. Imagine bringing or new forms of visualizing spaces and times that our students don't have access to. Imagine creating environments where you can add virtual agents that are going to help a student learn better by playing a patient or a client. So what we have in mind are precisely this kind of melding of old, traditional education and new education, or new technologies for education that are going to create new opportunities for our students. That will have to start, first of all, with making the equipment widely available. So part of our plan will be to have this clear way of checking out equipment and encouraging instructors to learn these new technologies by making them not only available, but providing support and plug and play solutions for instructors, so that they can just, take a particular module or a particular assignment and simply incorporate it in their classes if they want to, or stay in the lab with us and learn about these new technologies. But another aspect of that is creating an infrastructure that can actually support new forms of teaching. And by that, I mean new classrooms. Perhaps we need to have this equipment already embedded in the classroom, or perhaps we need to create particular kinds of classroom on campus that can support this kind of teaching. So this is a goal that is a little bit open-ended. It depends very much on hearing more from faculty and students, what they want to see. But it is also a goal that is inspiring for everybody we talk to about it. And we hope to hear from you on how we can make it happen in the future. Thank you.
All right, back to me. Goal 3, objective 4, personalized, context-aware communication. Now, if you were involved in yesterday's session at all, you might think to yourself, wait, I thought there was a communicate goal under empower, wasn't there? You're absolutely correct, there is. These are two different sides of that coin. That first one under empower is really about how ITS communicates to the campus at large, right? It's communicating the whys, the impacts, the reasons, some of that information that's relevant for our users beyond just the what. This personalized context-aware communication, this is more individualized, and this is not so much ITS communicating as it is ITS enabling the university to communicate in ways that are beneficial for the greater good of our campus. So harnessing big data, algorithmic personalization to provide context-appropriate, role-specific, targeted information to campus community to increase the effectiveness of campus information flows. That's pretty heady. So let me break it down for you. What this means is we're going to have context-aware communication, right? Information that's specific to what you're doing, what time of year it is, what role you're in, what time of year it is, maybe what's coming up on the calendar, and communicate information that's very targeted to you. So an example was, hey, can we identify, right? The university knows, we have the data behind us to know who a department chair is. Okay, if there's a department chair, it's their first year being a department chair, is there specific information that we can communicate to that person to smooth and ease their transition into that role, making sure that they are prepared for some of the administrative tasks that they're being asked to do in a way that's going to be value adding for them. So there's a whole host of possibilities here, right? We haven't defined exactly what those individual possibilities yet are, right? We don't have that limited scope. This is us moving into this space, opening up this possibility to find what those individualized situations are and take advantage of them. So ultimately, what does this mean for you? This will mean one, we're going to be searching for this information. What are those things that would be relevant and timely for you? And how do we provide that in a way for everybody in that, that situation to get that information? So there's going to be an amount of focus groupy, type of information gathering that we're going to be doing. But ultimately, at the end of the day, what we're hoping to do is that target this information, provide it at the right time, the right method, to the right people, so that you receive, like it says on the bottom, students, faculty, and staff will receive timely, relevant, and personalized information. So it's super exciting for what we're going to be doing here. So, all right, goal number 5. It's back to Mahela.
Oh, this is one of my favorites. So goal number 5 is to actually create a virtual communication hub for CSUSB. The goal reads as follows: create a personalized digital space where campus members, industry partners, other campuses, and the larger CSUSB community can learn from each other and showcase educational technology applications for the professional development needs of the campus. So let me explain what this means. And I have to confess, I'm a privacy scholar. So these days when I hear virtual hubs, I think immediately of the metaverse, and I shiver because to me, the metaverse is very much associated with Facebook and surveillance and rampant late capitalism and so on. So if some of you are like me and they hear the same thing, when they see virtual hub anywhere, then let me explain where this is coming from, and let me explain how this is not really what Facebook is trying to do. Again, so part of the needs that we heard during the pandemic was the fact that everybody felt so disconnected. There was a real sense of loss of the community that was provided when people came on campus. Although we are a commuter campus, students feel very much attached to being together on campus, to seeing the campus around them, to walking through the campus. So that need was actually not addressed by the online communities that we all try to create for the students. So that came from the students, how we can actually have some kind of, almost physical or a virtual equivalent of a physical community around us. The second need, however, we heard from both students and faculty was the following. ITS is trying to organize events several times a year, and we are trying to bring in technologies and ideas that are leading edge in the industry or among our other partners, community partners. But these events are several times a year. So far, they have been thought in physical formats. So you have to be on campus and to go from one booth to the next to actually see what technologies the industry is bringing on campus. And really depends on, do you have the time to do that or not? However, this need doesn't go away when the event ends. Our faculty need to know what's going on in the industries that are connected with their specific discipline. Our students need to know what's going on in order to be prepared for the job market. So how can we actually bring all of that knowledge to them in a way that enables them to almost pick up, the piece of hardware or the thing they are looking at and rotate it and look at it and feel like it's in their hands, but at the same time not have to be on campus on particular days and times. And here's where the idea of a virtual communication hub came about. So this is going to be a virtual version of the campus that will provide information that anybody will be able to find depending on their role and will be able to inspect as if they had that piece of hardware or software or that, that object in front of them. So it's another way of putting it is a sort of friendly metaverse that is not focused on surveillance, but is focused on bringing what you need to see and experience in order to know what's going on in the industry, in the community around you, and so forth. Another idea that is connected with this virtual hub is the idea of actually learning from others who are on a different campus. So many faculty expressed to us a need of knowing what's going on at other CSUs. And we have events once in a while, sometimes virtual, sometimes in person, that allow us to hear, oh, such and such, interesting thing is happening at at Sacramento State or, Sonoma State or whatnot. But is there a way to actually bring the system together so that we can just step in and learn something or see something, a demonstration? And this virtual space is going to enable us to do that. It's an idea that was received with a lot of enthusiasm by other campuses and the Chancellor's office. There is a little bit of open-endedness here. We don't yet know how it's going to look like in practice, but what we do know is that there are many moving pieces that depend on other goals. For example, you heard about a data fabric. So the idea that we need to categorize data by using its metadata, that is where it was produced and so on. So that idea of a data fabric enables us to actually identify what kind of information will need to be present in this space, information that will do the most good. Or this idea of immersive spaces. Well, guess what? The virtual communication hub is going to be an immersive space. So the same technologies that we will be developing with instructors and students to make learning better will be the technologies that are going to be used in this virtual space to make the experience better and to provide instructors, staff, and students with learning experiences for their professional development. So I'm going to stop here and pass it back to Pamela and Chris.
Excellent. Well, we have a few visuals here, so maybe you can unpackage them a little bit. Here's an example of a model, a digital model of the SMSU, and you can see on the right-hand side translations of the actual physical space into a digital representation. And here we have a video which shows how the SMSU is in this digital space. It was set up for Heritage Month, and that there are different areas within it in which you can seek out information or see other presentations that are embedded in this. So maybe you can narrate this a little bit, Mihaela, and talk about how that virtual hub might be similar to this experience.
Oh, it's going to be very similar. So what we developed during the pandemic and during the Hispanic Heritage Month is a workflow that enables us to reconstruct in 3D actual spaces. So what we had were pictures of the spaces and the map. And what our students did, actually, one of the students you are going to see in the panel that follows, JC Mariscal, what he did was to actually recreate all of this in 3D and import this 3D model into a platform called Mozilla Hubs that can be accessed regardless of whether or not you have virtual reality gear. So it's essentially system agnostic. But what this does, if you did have a VR headset, it would actually place you in the space as if you were there, as if you were in the unfortunately flooded SMSU. And you would be able to walk around, you would be able to look at the artifacts, but this being a digital space, you would also be able to learn about the artifacts by clicking on them. So essentially it's melding two affordances, this experience of being there and looking around and experiencing it bodily, but also the affordance of getting digital information that supplements a particular artifact. Now imagine our entire campus like that. So imagine you are a prospective student who wants to get a sense of how a classroom would look like, or how our museums look like, or the library. Imagine a parent who wants to know where their precious child is going to spend 4 years of their life. Imagine I don't know, a community partner who wants to see whether there is space on campus for an exhibition or for some type of collaboration. All of that could now be experienced in this format that is quite accessible to a variety of systems, devices, and is increasingly accessible in a different sense. So we are working on making it accessible regardless of the particular accommodations that a user might need. So hopefully this is something that will encourage people to find communities that they haven't even thought about in the past.
Great. Thank you so much. And you had mentioned, so this is so exciting and really cool. And you mentioned community partners. And so this last, the last objective that we have within this innovative goal space is really related to those partners. So I'll jump in here. Let's see. There you go, Chris.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Pamela. All right, the final objective within the Innovate goal, IT for the public good. And Pamela already alluded to this, right? This is ITS wanting to take what we do and take our skill set and our ability and our knowledge and use that for the greater good of not just our campus, but our surrounding region. And so, you know, the description here, create innovative forms of community outreach and partnerships for providing technology and training to the larger community to close the digital equity gaps in the region. Now, this will come in many different shapes and forms. One of them, you know, you'll see that this top benefit here about students having increased access to the internet at home. This is leveraging our partnerships, our networks, with kind of the region that we're in to address the digital divide in Southern California. So this will be about advocating for, you know, legislation and grants and and things like that, but it's also about playing our own part in it. So you may or may not be aware of something called the Affordable Connectivity Program, or the ACP. So this is a federal program that will subsidize internet access for low-income households. There's a big gap in the program as far as both awareness and communication, but as well as trust. And so how do we leverage CSUSB's ability to be a trusted partner within our community, to promote that, to get the word out, as well as to assist people in signing up for that? So there's a lot of different forms that takes. The other half of this that you'll see, our anchor communities workforce development skills will increase. This is about taking the skills that ITS has developed and holding workshops, holding training, seminars, holding things like that are more open and inviting to the community to come in and increase their skill sets, and to ultimately, holistically make our region a better place to live and to learn. So exciting things here. It's really a place for ITS to kind of be good stewards to our surrounding region. And I'll give it back to you.
Yeah. Yeah, so you can see this is a broad goal space, right? Involving students who are prospective students in high school, reaching out to community, creating spaces that students can interact with each other and learn more about technology, and also placing a focus on the user really at the center of all this design and our thinking and our plan for the next 3 years. So we're very excited.